on everyone, it's DK with RPM Gaming. We're talking about retro, PC, and mobile gaming. Been away for a little bit with graduations and vacations, but now we're back. And today we're talking about the Retroid Pocket Classic with that 6-button layout. So, let's get started. We've got our quality Retroid packaging, and then inside we've got a silver outline detailed image of the device, along with our spec sheet on the back side of that. And this is running the new G1 Gen 2 processor. Then we've got our quality inspection sticker and our Retroid Pocket Classic with that Sega Saturn 6-button layout. And of course our standard USB-A to USB-C charging cable. The top face buttons are convex while the bottom are concave. They're fairly quiet individually, but they're a little on the loud side when pressed down all together. And these are a rubber membrane connection. Our select, start, and home button or back button seems to be more of a dome switch connection. The D-pad is the same that's on the RP Mini and RP5. It's a little on the small side, but it's an overall really great D-pad with a rubber membrane connection. Then down at the bottom we've got a single speaker. Over on the right side we've got one small little pinhole. Not really sure what that is, could be used for a manual reset or something. Over on the left we've got our volume up, down, and power button. Nothing going on underneath. And then up top we've got our micro SD card slot, a 3.5mm headphone slot, and our USB-C port for charging only. Around back we've got our Retroid logo with a few lines for texture. Our L1 and 2 and R1 and 2, which seem to be a micro switch connection, and some ventilation for that active cooling. As we look at the RP Classic from the side, you can see that it has a little bit of a contour on the back for grip, which actually makes this surprisingly comfortable to hold when gaming on it. And here it is side by side by the original Game Boy. And as you can see here, the OG is quite a bit bulkier than the Retroid Pocket Classic. But man, Retroid done a fantastic job on that color. It's almost an exact match for that original Game Boy beige. And now let's check out that D-pad with a little contra test. And you can see here, pushing down on the D-pad and rocking back and forth, there's very little movement on the character, which is what you want. When pushing down on this D-pad and applying a little extra pressure to the left or right, you'll feel the D-pad actuate in that direction and you'll get a little movement out of your character, which is going to make it easy to hit those diagonals when you want to and not when you don't. This is the exact same D-pad that's on the Retroid Pocket 5, the Mini, and the Flip. This is a smaller style D-pad, but it works really well. Moving on over to a little Street Fighter with the main man, Ken Masters, and as you can see here, using this D-pad to hit those quarter and half circle moves is a breeze. You can hit those Hadoukens and Dragon Kicks all day long. And with that being said, here's another victory brought to you by none other than Ken Masters. Now let's jump over to Horizon Chase and do an audio test with that single speaker. And I'll put this at max volume so you guys can hear what it sounds like. Not bad for a single speaker. I was kind of surprised to find out that the Retroid Pocket Classic has gyro. It is pretty accurate too. I know it probably looks like it's not, but don't judge the gyro based on my bad driving skills. I still haven't been able to get it to work right though in the Call of Duty games. The Retroid Pocket Classic plays all of the classic systems flawlessly. NES, SNES, Genesis, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, they all play extremely well, which is to be expected with this chipset. PS1 games upscaled to a 4X resolution runs and looks great on this display. As I mentioned earlier, we're running the G1 Gen 2 processor. Got that 8-core Cryo CPU with 2 performance cores and 6 efficiency cores, and the GPU is the Adreno A12. Retroid Pocket Classic comes with either the 4 or 6 GB of the LPDDR4 RAM clocked at 2133 MHz. For the internal storage, you can either get 64 or 128 GB. The screen is a 3.9-inch AMOLED display with a resolution of 1240 by 1080 at 60 FPS. No video out, unfortunately. Running Wi-Fi 5 and Bluetooth 5.1. We have a 5000 mAh battery with a charging speed of 27 watts running on Android 13. Nintendo 64 works really well on here once you configure your controls. Now right here on Castlevania 64, that frame rate has tanked a little bit because we're running at a 4X resolution at 1440 by 1080. And we're just running on the base performance mode. So let's test out that high performance and see what we can get out of it. Now to do that, just swipe down from the top, tap performance, and you've got 3 different modes: standard, performance, and high performance. We'll try out performance and see how that goes. And you can see running at just performance mode at a 4X resolution, the frame rate is still down there a little too low. So now, let's try out that high performance mode. And when you turn on high performance mode, your fan is automatically going to go to the highest setting. So you can change that by tapping on the fan menu and putting it on the smart setting. This way it'll only kick up when it really needs to. And now running in high performance mode at a 4x resolution, you can see it brought the frame rate up quite a bit. But when we encounter enemies, it looks like the frame rate is going to tank a little bit again. So let's head back over into our RetroArch settings, and when we get over here, we're going to drop that resolution down to a 3x. And everything on Nintendo 64 still looks really well at a 3x resolution, and there's no slowdown when you encounter the enemies. That frame rate is staying pretty close to 60. Nintendo DS runs really well on the RP Classic as well. And I like that full screen experience, so I just went into the settings and set mine up with a button to switch between both screens. If you're not one that prefers the full screen, you can set it up with 2 smaller screens on this one. I didn't have any issues at all with any of the Nintendo DS games that I tried playing on here. This chipset in the RP Classic can play all the way up to PS2 and GameCube. Now I'm not going to be using it to play PS2 and GameCube, but that's quite a bit of power for a handheld like this. But I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Dreamcast and Sega Saturn is also going to play great on this system. Now while it can play PS2 and GameCube, for every game that it can play, there's probably going to be one that it can't. But for the price and what this can do, this is an awesome little handheld. Jumping over to some Nintendo 3DS, there are quite a few of these games that play really great on here. And as you can see here, it works with a gyro as well. And probably more often than not, you're going to want to use that high performance mode on a Nintendo 3DS, because there's quite a few games that if you don't use that high performance mode on it, you're going to get some stuttering and some stops like this right here. I tested out a few games that wouldn't even start unless that high performance mode was turned on. So that really works great on this system. But not every game is playable, even with that high performance mode turned on, as you can see here. Some games just won't be compatible with the emulator. This game here about the famous plumber's brother who hunts ghosts is one of those that wouldn't start without HP mode turned on. And even with it running in HP mode, you still get a few stutters now and then. And I think that's mostly when the shaders are compiling, so I would consider this to be totally playable. While you've got one plumber hunting ghosts, you've got the other famous plumber running around in a raccoon suit in a 3D world at a locked 60 frames per second. And there are quite a few games that'll play really well with that HP mode turned on. I know I've mentioned it once before already, but this is an awesome handheld for the price and the performance that you get out of it. This one's going to be a hard one to beat. Alright everyone, that's going to do it for today's video on the Retroid Pocket Classic. Hope you guys liked it. It's an awesome little handheld. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll leave a link in the description. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Check out our other videos, and we'll see you next time on RPM Gaming.